The iceberg is a great tool. I have a lot of fun with the iceberg. Think of the proverbial iceberg out in the middle of an ocean, and all we see is the tip of the iceberg. We all think of the Titanic and the fact that they were focused on the tip of the iceberg and thought they could navigate around it, not appreciating that there's a huge mass that sits under the water that really has the most impact on whether or not we're going to be able to navigate our way around particular obstacles. And it's no different in business, and that's one of the reasons why the iceberg is a wonderful metaphor, a wonderful tool to use. It's really the case in business. If you sort of peer into a business and look at a team that's trying to make it through the course of the day, a lot of times the team is focused on the tip of the iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg are those things that usually occupy the great majority of our time. And unfortunately, it's the things that are going wrong. So very, very busy teams in companies often are spending 90% of their time on these things that are just flaring up, sort of like at the tip of the iceberg. And we lose sight that the tip of the iceberg is actually attached to a much bigger mass, a much bigger mass. And sometimes we end up dealing with the same problem over and over and over again because we're only focused on the surface level stuff. So budget overruns, or the loss of good people, or the loss of market share, or the loss of particular customer bases. Whatever it is, we're focused on those things and we're trying to get into damage control. We tend to be fairly reactive at the tip of the iceberg. But if we take the time to just sort of step back from what the problem is and work our way down the iceberg, we realize we've been in this situation before. So we take a look at the patterns and trends that sit under budget overruns. We take a look and see, wow, we were dealing with this in 2011. We dealt with the same problem. Loss of market share, we dealt with that same problem in 2009. And if we have people that have been on the team for like 10 years or so, they go, look, we've dealt with this issue 3 times in the last decade. We don't seem to be getting any smarter. We just sort of deal with it in a different way. But the bottom line is we've had budget overruns, we've lost good people, we've lost market share. We've been here before. We're not smart. We're not acting smart as a business. Why do we keep coming back to the same problems? It's because we haven't gone far enough down on the iceberg. So we realize then that we've been here before at patterns and trends. We come a little bit further down the iceberg and we get to the level called systemic structures or forces at play. And that is, if we've been here before, and this has been happening like 3 times over the course of the last decade, there's something going on. There's something swirling even deeper underneath the surface level of the organization. These could be policies, these could be particular norms, these could be particular strategies. They call them forces at play that are in place. In some cases, these might be things that worked at one time, but they no longer do. But the forces at play require a whole lot more work to deal with than the firefighting that goes on at the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes it's easier to put a small fire out and hope that it doesn't come back, even though we know we will. Because if you use the iceberg, it suggests that it's coming back. If we don't deal with it at the base of the iceberg, it'll come back. At the very base of the iceberg is where our thinking resides. Those are the frames, or those are the mental models that we talk about that really drive all the decisions that we're making. And here's the irony. Here's the irony behind the iceberg. Sometimes the firefighting that we're doing at the tip of the iceberg is tied all the way down the iceberg to our own thinking. Our own thinking is causing the problems that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's not the enemy out there that's causing the problems, it's our own thinking. And that's where the real jewel, the real breakthrough resides, is if we can put our own thinking on the table and go, we gotta change the way we think about how we define ourselves as a business, how we define our customers, what products the customers want. We've got to redefine a whole lot of things at the base of the iceberg that'll get us out of the firefighting at the tip. So very often the solution at the tip of the iceberg is not out there. The solution at the tip of the iceberg is in here. That's where the breakthroughs occur, in the thinking that sits under the business, and that's what the iceberg is used for. It's used to encourage teams to stop the firefighting at the tip and come down to the base of the iceberg where we might have to put our own thinking on examination.